Hey folks, welcome to the stream. Hope you are all having a smashing Friday evening, and we're going to do our usual hour to 2 hour and see how it goes. Bit of development here. So, I'm going to bring up my to-do list, and we're going to have a run through it again. We have gateway decor, we have new room parts, player anim blueprint. We can't, right, okay. Gateway decor. Now, I keep running into issues, not with the decor or that, but that I run short of animations and basically how to do animations. So anything that relates to animations here, actual animations, I'm not talking about animation blueprints, we come to a staggering halt. Okay, so the gateway decor, what I did, or what I wanted to do in this instance, was to bring in, I wanted a suit of armour, okay? Now, we have the suit of armour, right? And what I wanted to do was basically have them, I was going to have two of them, right? So the point was to have these facing each other, right? I'm going to leave them here. They were probably going to be at the top of the stairs, but it's easier to see them here for you guys, right? And what I wanted to do was have them have their weapons, right? But if you haven't opened up anything upstairs, then these guys would block your path by suddenly snapping their weapons up as a cross to stop you. Now, that was my idea for it, but as I have zero animation talent and I couldn't find anything that was going to do the job for me, I kind of came to a standstill on that one. So I left it as was, right? But I haven't forgot about decorating our beautiful gateway. Now, from there, we go to monster attacks and animation. So we can kind of forget that as well, because we need some animations. Then we've got new room parts. Now, as soon as I start running problems when doing a room layout, I will basically deal with that, okay? But that'll be dealt with on when I need a particular part, then I shall add it. And with the player anim blueprint, the player anim blueprint, I can't really do this until I get the stripped down mesh with just the arms plus the actual animations for it. So I can't really do anything with that just yet. Teleporter, we're going to ignore it for the moment. Keybind grid is done. Input buttons is getting done. The story is going to come across with animations and stuff once I can talk to the animator and modeler to see what we can do with that. And Steam achievements, we can't really do that till we get a Steam code, right? Offline high scores might just become the current ratings, right? Which would be easy enough to do, and that would probably be about a half-hour job, right? But what I'm expecting here is for there to be a seat here, and let's say our narrator and let's say our Holmes and Watson. So our Watson character is going to be sitting here and communicating things to the vampire hunter when he is in the gateway, okay? So with that in mind, we can basically add a chair in here, and I think I went past yeah, indeed, I've went past the chairs. So this would be kind of sitting here, and I believe we need to do a slight scaling on this, 0.85, right? So we may scale that back up once we get our character, but for the moment we'll do 0.85. So as I said, we intend our Watson style character to be sitting on this chair at some point, right? So our next point, or port of call, is basically the end screen, which I'm not thrilled about at the moment, right? So we will close these down. Maps, yep, right, so we have level end, and it's cancel that, it's actually the widget. Excuse me. So we go to the HUD, widgets, in game, level complete. And as I said, I am not 100% convinced with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in blood donor, because that's one of our level names, right? So that we can see exactly what this is going to look like. Right, now the left hand side, I'm quite happy with the disco dance floor and that, and we can put in a different one if you don't actually complete or open up a level, right? But this here, I am not 100% happy about, okay? I'm not convinced by this. Now it may be that we just need to if I do if I select these and possibly if I just give them that, right, then that might just tart it up a bit. And then what I actually want to do is we'll just keep tidying things up, right? So basically what we'll do is we'll go to the graph here, right? And time taken, right? And we're going to say maximum of 1 fractional digit, right? And that should tidy that part up. That's all fine. That's all fine. We can leave this basically as it is. Okay. And if we now play it, right? So there we have that. What I'm thinking is the other way round. These white, these red. Right? What I'm thinking of is the same way that the pickups are done. Right? So if we look at the pickup bonus, right? And this has got like an outline size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this color. Then I'm going to take it into the level complete. Right? Then we're going to change this back to white. Okay. And then we're going to copy that, copy that, copy that, or control add that, right? And it's not the rating. Right, so we don't do the rating yet. So what we'll do is we basically paste that. Okay. And then we add the outline size. And then the outline size, outline color is going to be white. Right? So 111. Okay that. And we shall see how that looks. In fact, what we'll do here is this is a text as well. So we'll paste that. We'll make that 2. And then basically we go 1, 1, 1. Okay, that. And then in our GP rating, this is interesting. I'll paste that. Now, what we might need to do is get this and do like a manually do the outline, right? But we shall see how it looks. It might look absolutely fine. And I'm going to say that is a win. Not only am I going to say that's a win, I'm going to try something else, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to level complete designer, right? And I'm going to grab that again. And I'm going to go with outline again, except I'm going to go 1 to make it slightly different. And go with that. Now, I might change my mind on this one, obviously. I've got every right to change my mind. Oh, I've been hit twice. If he hits me again, I'm out of here. We kinda like that. Right, so I'm thinking that this would actually be nicer centered now, or at least kinda centered. Right, but in the meantime, we're going to do our rating individual, right? And we're going to get our image cross. We're going to go to it. Then we're going to export it. Right, export for change, and it's going to be icon. I'm going to rename this as icon cross. right? Then what we're going to do is we're going to open our paint.net and we're going to load it in. Okay. And interestingly, we might have to do, whoops, we might have to do a little bit of weird stuff with this. Right? Now, I'm just wondering here, I'm just going to play with it. I'm going to say, I want just the outline to see if it's going to give me what I want. So here's edge detect. Right. What I'm thinking here is, if I like paint in the middle, it's kind of like I need a white round the edge, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, and by me using the word try, that's a pretty scary thought. I'm going to undo that, right? Because it looks to me right, I don't know if this is going to work. Going on a wing and a prayer here. Right, I'm not 100% cool with this, to be fair. I mean, it'll probably work, but whether or not it's going to look the part or not, I don't know. There is an easier way to do this, to be fair. Right, let me think. Right, okay, let's think about this. I'm going to close that, and I'm not going to save it, right? What I'm going to do is, I'm going to duplicate this, right? And then I'm going to turn it to be white. So we basically go 1, 1, 1. right? Okay, that. Then what we do is we set the scale right to be 1.01. Actually, you know what? No, we don't. We set this to be 1. But we set our image to be 66 by 66. Okay? And then we push this one into the background. Right? So that becomes Z order -1. And you'll kind of see that that nearly works. It looks like the X67. No, we need that as 66. Right? And then what we do is we translate it on the Y. Okay. So 0.5, 0.25, that kind of works. Right, but right, we'll try 67, right? And it looks like we'll make it 66. I think it worked best at 66. Right? So we'll save that and we'll try this. Right? Oopsie, oopsie. Oh, we got killed, which isn't the greatest thing to do. That doesn't look the greatest, but it also doesn't look the worst. You know what I'm saying? Right, I think what we'll do is we'll find out what we have here. Right? So we have a vertical box, right? Guaranteed. So now what we need is our we've got our chronicles, then we've got our right. So what we need is a canvas panel in here. Under this spacer. Okay. And then everything in here except for the clothes should go in the canvas panel. Okay. Then our canvas panel should be centered. Now I want to see how this actually looks. Wait a minute. Undo that. Oopsie daisy. All of these ones should be centered. Hi Ken. Good morning if you're in the UK. I'm guessing you're in the UK. Right, so that's blood donor, right? Basically, it should be set to the center. Right? And basically should be 0.5. And 0.5. And we'll check that by testing it and see if it's in the right place. I'm still not convinced this is in the right place yet. And how are you this fine morning, Ken? Right. Right, so that's blew everything out of the water. Where's the door? This is our vertical box here. Okay, well, whatever. Right, so what we'll do is we'll undo that. Undo. Right. See, what I want to do, I suppose with this one, I could center it. Right, and these ones I could just pad them. Otherwise I'd have to put them all in horizontal boxes, but even that's still not going to work quite right. Right, but as I said, I could add some padding to them right? So if I pad this, like let's say 150, that kinda gives us what we want. Right? What did make that? I think it was 200, wasn't it? Let's say 200. Right, 200. And this one, 200. Right. So we'll try that again. Yes, I know. I'm not watching where I'm going. Yep, I'm buying that better. I'm liking that better, because now I can move this over a bit. Not that it really matters, but I'm quite liking that. Right, but we'll escape that just now. I don't know if I like this or not, to be fair. I do like the idea of the outline, but obviously it's going to be a bit more work to do it around an image than it is to just set it up on text. Right. I'm kind of liking that. I'm liking that a bit more. Without that outline, this is a little bit not so good. Right, so I think we'll have to get an artist onto that one. Right, so we've beautified our level complete. And whoops, daisies. Did I set this up to be the second or third level? Right, because what I'm thinking here is this level here. Oh, sorry. I'm looking in the wrong place. If we go to our maps, right? Because what I'm thinking is, I mean, it makes really no difference, but do I introduce rooms first or tight corridors first? Is the question. Which one should come first? Right, because what I was thinking was this was going to be the first level, right? But what I could do is duplicate this level and take out the room edges so that it's basically the same level, but it's tight corridors, right? That was kind of what I was thinking about here. Which would certainly be doable. In fact, it would be pretty easy to do. Right? So that was kind of my thoughts about it. And on that, I'm going to go and grab a cigarette. So if you enjoy the content and the stream, hit like and subscribe. I shall be right back. Check the description for links to support the channel and to my previous game and also my Discord. I shall be right back. Don't go anywhere, folks. Okay, we're back. Let's continue. Right, so now that we know all that stuff, let's do the main menu. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our HUD main menu. We're going to go to high scores, then we're going to change this completely. Right? So we're going to go to high scores. We're going to go to level name, time, and rating. Okay, so what we're going to do is in our grid, right, we're going to get that, we're going to delete it. And that's all I actually need to do, right? And then, quite simply, if I save this, then I go to high score line. If I go to this one and delete it, right? Then I go to the graph, and it's not going to like that, which is fine, because we're just going to remove it, right? Now, we are going to do something slightly different here, but it is going to come from here. So we're going to say that, and we're going to see what we get. Right, and we get nothing, which is kind of awesome. So this is DT levels. Right, and we should get 3. That should be giving us the minute steak, blood donor, and sweet tooth, at least. Right? In our high score line. Now we've got this struct score. I don't know what that is. We must be passing it in somewhere. So if we go to widget high score, go to the graph, let's see what we're doing here. Okay. We're going to controller, game instance, high scores. Now, is that fine? Is the question. I would believe that the answer is no. I'm going to add a breakpoint there. Right, and we're going to stop it. And we're going to run it again. And we do get to there. But the answer is, we have a controller, we have our instance. We do not have high scores. So, yeah. That's weird. Now the question is that actually right? Okay, so what I'm going to have to work out is I'm going to close some of these down, right? We can work on these again at a future point if we need to. Which we are, but for the moment we're going to leave this. Right. So what we need to do is open up our menu controller, right? So it's this one here. Okay. So it's going to load these up. Right, and this is our DT high scores. Okay. And then we're going to set this in our instance, hopefully. So right, so we save them there. Well, we don't actually save them, to be fair. We should though. We create all these, right? Then we save it, right? Then we load the high scores into here, add breakpoint. So apparently, okay, whatever, step over this. Right, resume that. Okay. Now we get the high scores. Hi Thomas, how are you doing this fine Friday evening? It's going well. I'm just doing some boring stuff, I'm afraid. Now this high scores appears to be blooming empty. Which is rather interesting. So the first port of call here. Yeah, well, number one, I don't use nanite or lumen, and there's a video on my channel about why I don't use version 5 yet. So if you want my thoughts on it, then check that out. If you find it useful, great. And nothing wrong with that. Just I have my reservations at the moment. So this is not being set, right? Now, I don't know why, because it was being set. Right? And this is the game instance here. We're setting the high scores here. So that is actually quite bizarre. So yeah, it's quite strenuous. It's something that I address in my video on Unreal Engine 5, believe it or not. That it basically, if you're not using a high-end server gaming machine type setup, then it's I don't know why Unreal Engine 4, unless you've never used Unreal Engine 4, but if you've, obviously if you're just starting out, then it might feel a bit different, but Unreal Engine 5 feels uncomfortable to me because it's new. It's just a matter of we're doing a for each loop here to find out what these values are, right? Because we're not happy about this at all. Yeah, as I said, if you're getting along fine with Unreal Engine 5, then great. I've absolutely nothing to say about it. Enjoy. But I just don't think it's ready for prime time yet. Level. Now that label's an integer, right? So I'm a bit wary of that. Let's do time. Right, what we'll do, print, oopsie, print string and that's the wrong place to put that. Animate a thing. Ooh, very nice. Now I'd like to know what's very nice, because there's nothing very nice going on at the moment, I can tell you that. Because this has got a problem, and I don't know what that problem is. Right, so what I'm going to expect here is basically 1, 2, 3, okay? Or am I? That's the question. Yes, I'm going to expect 1, 2, well, wait a minute, is it name? Or is it this, is the question. Because I keep forgetting. This is high scores, right? And it's not got the name of the level, okay? Well, I ended up using blueprints for a very silly reason. It was basically because I was coding every day at work at the time, and basically I just wanted a change, you know, because you don't want to code all day and then come back and as your pastime doing this, basically coding some more. Plus the fact that I hadn't done any C++, which was another thing, of course. Right, so what we'll do is we'll stick these up for 30 seconds, right? And we'll do it in white, because it's going to be on the main menu. Right? And this should come up with 1, 2, 3. Okay? Right, so whatever. Disable that. Resume. Nothing. What do you mean, nothing? Oh, wait a minute. I might be the stupidest person. Right, let's delete this and redo it. Rejig it. Right, because if you don't do that, it can get a bit weird. Right, play. And we go 1 1 1 1 1. There's 5 values in this. Which is bizarre. But okay. Right. So what we need to do is, it's actually in here, right? When we create our default save, right, we're getting our high scores and we're pulling it from here, high scores, right? DT high scores. So it's pulling at level 1, level 1, level 1, level 1. Right, okay. So this is bollocks, right? That should be level 2. That should be level 3. That should be level 4. At least this is beginning to make a bit more sense. And this should be level 5. Now I could have made these a row number, wouldn't have made any difference, but anyway. Now I don't know if I'm going to use difficulty again yet. I'm not going to use the score. We are going to use the rating, and we are probably going to use the level complete. Right, so I should really just turn these to false, right? Because basically when you start the game you haven't completed any levels, right? But this table and the values from it don't unlock levels anyway. This is just for purely for high scores, right? And these are the defaults, right? So I don't actually need to use these, but it can basically easily set up. Oh, sorry, animate a thing. I just got username video. Okay, here's what I'm using. Well, actually, there's a video on my channel of the machine I'm using, which is about 7 years old. It's got two 980 Ti's with liquid cooling. Right, that's what I'm using. So, some pretty old, I think is it? If you check my channel, you'll see my machine, but is it 5 years old, 7 years old? Something like that. Gets the job done. As I said, I'm not buying another. There's no point. Okay, there's nothing wrong with buying a new graphics card, but I'm not buying another one until one card can do 60 frames a second on every game at 4K at the highest settings. Until then, no thanks. I don't want 10% increases in speed. I don't want another 15%. No, I've got a 980 Ti. I've got two 980 Ti's, but an SLI, but SLI doesn't do anything anyway for most things, so yeah, there's that. Right, so now if I actually change this like I was intending to 5, right, we might actually get somewhere. And my 980s were faster than a 1080 anyway, right? Because all you were getting was like a not even 10% increase in a standard 1080, right? So once I overclocked them, they were faster than a 1080, right? Because the incremental speed changes that you're getting are just that, incremental, right? My machine was very, 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 very fast in its day. Right. So now we're getting that. Resume. And there we go. Right, we get our times and shit like that, right? So we're going to have something completely different for Steam. Thank you very much, Animator Thing. That's very kind of you. Right, so if we play the game, right, and then this is a test level that I just run through to quickly finish a level, even though I can still get killed in it. Oopsie doopsie. Right, so there is our exit, stage left. 4 stars, not bad. Right. So if we close that and then we head back to the main menu, then go to high scores, resume. Right. So it's not updating our high scores. Oh, there's more to it than this. Or my piece de resistance in this. Right, so it's not saving the high score to our high score, which kind of defeats the purpose of the high scores. Unless no, it's not, because it should be getting it from the game instance, right? And it's obviously not updating the game instance high scores, or at least that would be the assumption, but I know that's not true because I shall show you in a minute. We just got 4 of a rating, okay? We got 4 of a rating on that level, right? And there you go. It knows I've got 4 of a rating on that level. Okay. So there's something going on that's a bit fishy. because this should also be coming from here, and we're getting it from the game instance. We're passing in our struct score, and let's have a look at our high score line and see what it says. Well, it kind of says something pretty interesting. So this rating, where's the rating? Text rating. Okay, so that text rating, right, stop that just now. Let's see if we're saving the rating or not. We'll say to string. Right. Now let's see what this says. It's saved it. See, there's rating 4. Okay. So for some reason the time's not showing. Now I don't know if I'll add a breakpoint here. I don't know if I'm saving the time, but we'll check it anyway. Right, and this time should be something. Unless, of course, we're not saving it, which is a distinct possibility. So we're going to stop that for now. And this is not where we save it. Right, so we're going to have to go into our actual pawn. Right. And when we end the level, actually it is here somewhere. Decrease timer, reset timer. It should be here. Maybe it's not. Play pane, life loss reset, minimap to portal. Maybe it isn't here. Split-faced monster. Okay, well. We go to props. And BP portal. And we go here. And it was in pawn. Keep saying prawn. Yeah, I wish there was more people into game development as well, because then they'd watch my videos or watch my streams, which would be kind of nice. But anyway. Right. So we make the level score and interestingly I'm in the wrong place. Wait a minute, am I? No, I've got time taken here as well, so that's alright. I've got, yeah, okay. The way I did this was I split this up into a new level because I wanted a dancing guy and all the rest of it. So I split this up into a separate map and then put a different controller on it because obviously I don't need all the stuff that's in the normal controller. I just need basic crap. So we put it in the end level player controller, right? So this is where it saves it and stuff, right? So we definitely set the time. Right. Now, this is distinctly bizarre. Right, so we get the save game, we display the score, we add it to the viewport, blah de blah, right? And then we check to see if the previous level was locked and if our score was over 3. Right, so if you get a rating of 4 or 5, you unlock the next level, right? If you do, then we set up the level status to be unlocked for the next level. Then we come in here and if this is greater than the last one, right, so if I got a rating that was greater than the previous best rating, then I basically set up, wait a minute, you foolish man. You foolish man. Yeah, well, that's all programming is. That is all programming is, problem solving. So you better get ready for it. Right. So we get level score. Now the problem here is, I'll show you exactly what the problem is when we finish the level, we make a level score. Right, now in this level score, we need to click on it and we need to get the time taken. Right, and then this to me it looks kind of the same. As I said, I've never used nanite and that. I'm probably, well, not going to say I'll never use it, but I just don't do that type of game. I don't do open world first person shootery or RPG type games. It's just not something I do. Now, I need to somehow turn this into a time code. I wonder if right, I'll obviously do it somewhere else, right? I wonder if huh. Okay, so that's not any good. Right. Let's go back to here. And we do it there. So we don't do that. I obviously do something with this. Right, I'm just not in the mood for this on a Friday night, to be honest. This is just like horrible work where I need to just basically make a time code out of a float. You might not be a beginner in game dev, but that's not going to be your problem. Your problem's going to be is that you're a beginner at networking. Because if you think you've got problems problem solving, then just multiply them by 10 when you're doing the network stuff. Not insurmountable, of course, but it is not an easy thing to do. I've done a bit of it. I have done a bit of it, but it is not an easy task. I'm just going to leave this at simply this just now. I'll probably just do the code for this offline when I'm not streaming because it's a bit boring. I'm going to have to obviously take modulus and stuff like that. In fact, am I? Probably not. Yeah, probably am actually. Anyway. Right, so at least this should give us something back. Right? Well, it depends on your multiplayer game. You should bear it in mind what you're doing. So if your game idea can take less than 10 what do you call it? If your multiplayer game is less than 10 players, then you don't need a server. And the problem is, if you do need a server, then you basically need two different sets of code. one that runs on the server and one that runs on the clients. The only one I've actually worked on is like a peer-to-peer. What I need to do here is save games and then delete this again. Right, and I want to do this really slow this time. Okay, so go to high scores, resume. That's going to give us nothing, nothing, nothing. That's fine. I'm happy with that. Right. Then we play game. Right, we go in here. Oh, I'm glad the tutorials are helping you. Oh, we want to wait a minute. Right. What I'll do is I'll hide in the corner here. And then I'll jump in now. Alright, we only got 3 stars this time, right? Or 3 crosses. Right? So make sure that's right. That's bollocks, because that should have 3 crosses on it, right? And that means that the game instance is not updating, right? Because if I press play game and go to here, wow, still not doing it. Right, okay, this is bollocks. Because look, and that's pulling it from the game instance, which is right. And look at that, 29 settings, 3, that's fine. Right? So, if I... Oh, I'm an idiot. No, I'm not. I started that at the main menu, didn't I? Right, so... We're gonna... Don't know what your message is. Your message redacted. Disable. Resume. Right, so we've definitely got a score here. Right. So when we go in here, this should definitely show 3 stars. So that would kind of infer, well, it infers that the game instance isn't right, because that's where it's picking the score up from. So whether the game instance isn't updating it, right, so 20.3, okay. Now, if we go back here, that's still not doing it, which is weird. And there's our 20 seconds, 20.3. Right? And that's right. So it appears to me that our high scores aren't getting transferred into our game instance. Unless I've borked this up. Which of course is distinctly possible. Right, let's have a look. Right, so when I start this up, right, and when I jump into this level, our game instance is automatically passed along, okay? We should all know that, right? So, in theory, I should be able to just grab this game instance, right? Go to high scores, do a for each, grab the element, break it, and then print string, and do, let's say, do time, right? So basically we should only get, what we should get when we come in here, or when the first time this thing is created, this pawn controller, pawn chronicles, right? When this is created, when we jump into the gateway, we should get basically 20,000, right? And we do, there's our 20,000. Okay? So our instance does have the high scores. Okay? But our issue seems to be right, that's not the high scores, so we don't need to worry about that. Now, it seems to be that these levels here no, you don't do that at all. What you do is you make a save game file. Sorry, you make a save game object, right? And then you save the values to that. Right? So what you basically do is ding ding ding. In here it's, you basically say, does the save game file exist, right? And this is at the start of your game, because basically you're going to be loading up some defaults into the game which you might want to get from a data table or wherever, right? But either way, these might be loading up from a default save game file, right? Now, if that file exists, right, then basically what you do is you carry on. If you don't, if it doesn't exist, then basically you create the save game file, right? And then basically, either way, you then load the save game file, right? And then these are variables within the save game file for me. You've got gameplay settings, audio settings, high scores, and level status. So then what I do, it doesn't matter. It's not the way you do it. right? And all files are text files, right? That's the same thing as saying, well, actually all files are binary files, right? You have specific objects like this, right? This is a save game object, specifically made to save the game, right? So if you were to open this, right, this gets saved to a slot and that goes in your save game file, right? So basically it's this thing here, right? This is my save game file, right? And if you try to open it, it looks like gibberish. Okay? And you can make it even more gibberish. And when you build the project out in your settings, you can basically store these as like, what's the word I'm looking for? You can encrypt these, right? But that's all it is. It is a text file. Save game object does end up as a text file, right? So basically the way I do it is I create my save game file with all the variables that I'm going to save, right? And then what I do is when you first start up the game, it checks to see if there's a save game file, right? If there's not a save game file, then I create a save game file, okay? And then I save it, right? And then basically it goes down the different track because it does exist. Well, as I said, you can make it look even more gibberish by encoding it, right? But it depends. If it's a single player game, who cares, right? And at the end of the day, if it's a multiplayer game, then you don't save anything anyway, really. Except on the server, so. Right, so anyway, you load the game for the slot, and then basically what I do is get the save game, and then pass it into the instance, right? Because the instance is the only thing that's passed between levels, right? But in this case, I do need to use the high scores in both this controller and the main menu controller. Well, this is actually main menu controller, but I actually need it also in the pawn controller for the actual game, because when you go up to a painting, it needs to know what your high scores are, right? And as far as the save game is concerned, don't worry about the size, right? Because your actual game and fundamentally your textures will take up all the space, right? So, for example, if you look at my save game, it's 4K, right? One texture, right, can be 2K, or it can be even more than that, right? But we're going by normal standards of, like, let's say 2K. That's what most people go with as the default these days, right? So one texture is half the size, or let's say two textures are the size of my save game. Okay? So it's nothing. Because what you got to think of is, imagine how many textures make up that character, right? That's 2K, 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 face 2K or skin 2K, cane probably 2K. So yeah, forget about the size of a save game. It is inconsequential in regards to the size that your game will be. Anyway, I'm going to have a look into this. So what I would say, guys, is if any of you have got any more questions, let me know in the chat before I go, and I'll try to answer for you. But whatever is going on here, this is not doing the high scores properly. But I'm going to delete this stuff out because I don't think it should be a problem. But you never know. And by the way, Thomas, if you're still there, check the description for a link to Discord, where depending on the question I'll answer it there. And I'm going to call it a night there. It's Friday night. I've got a couple of beers in the fridge. Hope you are the same, unless you don't drink, and then hope you've got coffee or something. And I shall be back at 2 PM Central tomorrow, where we'll do some more stuff. And I'll probably have a look at this high score thing either tonight later on or tomorrow morning. So hopefully I'll have that fixed by then and we can move on to something else. So you're in, I'm guessing you're in, well, you're either in the UK or, yeah, you're in the UK. I'm guessing it's 3:45 AM, in which case, yeah, UK. Right, so if you've enjoyed the stream, hit like and subscribe, that would be great. And you will find links in the description to the Discord. You're welcome to join. And ways to support the channel, which include Patreon. Well, it must be 4:45 then, because you guys in Germany will be an hour ahead of the UK. So if it's 3:45 in the UK right now, it must be 4:45 in Germany. So as I was saying, in the description you'll find links to Patreon, where you can get your name in the credits of the game, or you can get early builds and stuff. Or there's a link to my previous game, which is a tower defense game done in Unreal Engine. And even just adding it to your wish list helps, but take a look at it anyway. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I shall hopefully catch you tomorrow. It's a better time for you, Thomas. It'll be 9 PM your time, I believe. 9 PM tomorrow. I shall be back on for you. And I shall see you guys later. Bye bye for now.